This week on the Jochum Strength podcast, we had on John Seville, otherwise known as Beefcake Sensei. He's been on a side quest for over 15 years to improve his snatch and still continues to hit PRs. Throughout the episode, we talk about training for the long run, your ability to shift goals, and when is the best time to go off program and send it. As always, thanks for listening and enjoy the episode.
Before we hit the intro music, I wanted to introduce to you guys the Jochum Strength Insider. The Jochum Strength Insider is our online training platform that takes all of the ideas that we talk about on this podcast and implements them into a program that is available to you at the touch of your fingers. Our goal with the Jochum Strength Insider is to create better movers, to level up your life, and to move forward from where you are. We do this in a holistic fashion. Not only will you receive a program that has helped hundreds of people become better movers, you'll also receive access to our app that allows you to track everything, has video links for all exercises, and allows you to be in constant communication with a Jochum Strength coach. Along with this, you'll get our 30-page PDF nutrition and lifestyle guidelines. That includes everything from what to eat, how much of it to eat, why we're eating it, meditation habits, and other lifestyle habits that we implement with our clients to really level up their lives. If you're interested in trying out one of these programs, use podcast 25 in the discount section right before you pay for 25% off your first program. Boom.
This is the Jochum Strength Podcast. Take the leap down the rabbit hole with us as we interview elite level guests to unravel what high performance really is.
All right, well, Coach, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dude, you're the Beefcake Sensei. I was going to call you the Beefcake Sensei, but you said you didn't want to be called that.
No, I'm here's the thing. I don't mind if people call me that, but I feel weird if somebody feels like they have to call me that, if that makes sense.
Dude, you're an influencer now. People have to call you that.
Yeah, I made that name in college because I saw a video where a guy made a comment where he said beefcake booty pop extreme or something like that. I thought it was really funny. So I made a hashtag in college he said beefcake booty pop. And then I was like, I made a hashtag beefcake booty pop extreme in college.
What the fuck is a booty pop?
Then,
what does that mean?
What?
What is a booty pop?
I don't know, dude. Dude, I don't know. He was like a trick. He would do tricking videos. And he landed one and he looked at the camera and it just said beefcake booty pop or no, booty pop extreme or I don't know, something booty pop. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I don't understand. This was 10 years ago. Okay. And I was living in a house with a bunch of my bros and we made this hashtag and we would post things to it. And we were arguing over something. And then I think I said something like, I am the Beefcake Sensei. This is my hashtag. And then that was kind of the origin story for the name. So this is a name that was developed when my brain was not fully developed. And somehow it's gotten attached to me, and it's cool. It's a good name, I think. But
and now you're stuck with it for life.
Yeah, there could be worse. There could be worse names for sure.
There could be much worse names. Well, that's kind of interesting because you're talking about lifting in college and being in that group in college. And Tristan was wondering, before we started the podcast, we kind of mentioned this about how you got into the Olympic lifting world, because on your page, you had this 10-year transformation of your snatch, which means you've been in this for a long time. And I think even in that post, you said you've been training for 15 years, getting after it for 15 years. And I'm interested to know, especially with a lot of our guests, what was the entry point into fitness for you? Was it a sport? What was the moment where, because I remember very clearly with Coach Herm, Tristan, where it was he put a barbell in my hand for the first time and I was able to clean 185 the first day. And he just gave me so many cookies. I was like, dude, I'm addicted to this shit. I'm good at something for the first time in my life. This is awesome. But what was that experience like for you when you first got into the fitness realm and the workout realm and you're like, I'm going to get after this. This is my thing.
Yeah. So I was always a basketball player first. Olympic lifting has never been a primary sport for me. It's always been a side sport, a side quest, you could say.
The longest side quest ever, you said.
Yeah, longest. Dude, I've been doing this thing longer than my primary quests at this point. I just keep doing it. I can't stop. And I love it. I'm still progressing. So it's I might as well just keep doing it. But my my older brother, I posted him on my story the other day. He's 38 and he has had two Achilles surgeries and he never had done a broad jump before, and he did a 10-6 casually, 10-foot 6 inch broad jump,
On like a
just
carpet in
stupid.
your living room.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
insane. I was like, dude, he is a freak of nature, like truly. But so he was really into training. It was around middle school, like yeah, it was like sometime in middle school, maybe eighth or ninth grade. And he started Olympic weightlifting. We in Red Wing, where I'm from, there's this guy named John Drews, and he back in the 70s was a USA team coach. He coached for the USA team as like an assistant coach, and he had a bunch of guys that like competed at work. I'm not sure if worlds, but like they competed internationally, and so he had like high pedigree, but he didn't charge anything to train. It was his hobby. He was retired, and so he just wanted a club and he just wanted guys to train. So you paid like a fee to be able to compete, and that was it. And so my brother started doing it when he was like in college or something like that, and I kind of came along. And then he told me, because my brother is, like has crazy bounce, and he told me, he's like, if you want to jump, you have to get stronger, and this is a great way to get stronger.
And were you in high school
So
at this
around like
time?
no, I was probably like 14,
Okay,
probably
okay.
about
Oh,
14.
young.
I'm 30. I'm 30 now. So I was about 14, and I went in one really super hot, muggy Minnesota summer, and I went in there and I started doing it, and I felt so sore. I felt so awkward. I like fell backwards. I think one of my first lifts, like very awkward. I'm 6'2", and I've always been like a gangly sort of person. And so especially back then, and I like fell over, but I just kept coming back. And yeah, so during high school, I would compete on weekends in Olympic weightlifting competitions, and I would play basketball during the week. And I was homeschooled, like for part of my high school years, and so I would do my Olympic lifting in the morning, come home, do my school, take a nap, and then I would go and I would play basketball for the high school. And then there was like one fun story is when I was like, I think it was my senior year. Uh we had a basketball game Friday night in Northfield. And I I had the best game of my high school career. I think I had close to 30 points. We were down by one with like 1 second left, and I made two free throws to tie it and then win the game. So just best game of my career. The next day I was back there for a weightlifting competition, which was kind of funny because there were like people who were like, wait a minute, like, weren't you just here last night, like playing? So kind of double dipped. Uh, I will say this, because I played basketball, my weightlifting was never like I'd like almost qualify for state, but never really like could do it just with basketball, like the wear and tear. I'd lose like 14 pounds during the basketball season, and weightlifting is like a weight class sport. So, yeah, does that answer your question? I guess.
Oh
Do you have
yeah,
any other
absolutely.
questions? Yeah,
Well, when you were saying, so this is one thing I'm interested in because you were talking about how you went in. Like, I think the thing that got me, like when I went in, it just felt like it was the first thing in a long time where it like felt like I was like, I have a skill set in this, and it's like, okay, like so like that was an really easy buy-in for me. You said you went in and you were like falling backwards with the bar, and this is like I feel like that's much more common for a lot of like newbie lifters, and a lot of reason
yeah,
why like a lot of people they go into the gym first time, it's a little bit too intense, a little bit too scary, they don't really know what they're doing, they mess up, and then you lose a lot of those people. What was the thing that like
yeah,
drew you back? Like what got you back the next day after you like were struggling with it
yeah.
and it like wasn't pretty, it wasn't fun?
I've always kind of felt like an underdog. Part of that, I think, is so I have four brothers, and three of them are 6'9", and the one that's not 6'9", he's 6'5", but at like peak athleticism, he had a 45-inch vertical. He's the one that did the 10-6 broad jump.
Are you oldest, youngest,
Um,
middle? What are you?
I'm middle. So like I have my eldest, he's 6'8". My other brother is 6'5", but like crazy athletic. Then my brother directly above me, he's 6'9". He played professional basketball in Europe. He was like a D2 All American, just crazy talented. And then my younger brother, directly beneath me, he's also 6'9". He played D2 basketball. And so I've always kind of felt, I will joke that I have like little man syndrome when
At
I'm like,
6'2".
6'2". Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
funny.
But it's like my environment, dude. I was the small guy. And so I compensated by just trying to be more aggressive and more gritty. And so I just stuck with it. And there's like a point when, so I went to college and I played 1 year of basketball at a very small college.
What
And
college?
I chose Trinity Bible College.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I was originally recruited by um some like better D3 colleges, but uh I felt like I was too good for it, to just be frank, and it was really stupid. Because one of them, I can't remember which one it was, but they like won the national championship the year, my freshman year. They won like the NCAA Division 3 championship. So I just didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I was originally going to go to a JUCO college, a D2 JUCO college. I was like, I'm going to play there 2 years and then I'll transfer to a better college once I get my name out. But they actually gave up my spot when I was like the summer before. And so I ended up at Trinity just because I like wanted to go to college. I didn't want to stay home and I didn't want to be too close to my hometown, to be honest with you. And Trinity is in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota. And so, yeah, I never visited. I just showed up pretty much. But I played 1 year there and very rough. I like had a concussion the first game of the season. I was out for like 2 months. I still like, I have concussion induced dyslexia from that concussion. So like if I
Oh
get
my
really
God.
tired, I'll like say sentences backwards sometimes. So fun fact. But then it was really brutal. I like jacked up my knee. Uh, it was the second game back. I was having an amazing game. I was following a play and I pinned the ball against the backboard, but I didn't like, I jumped higher than I thought I would. And so I couldn't pull my arm down. And I ended up like going like this and landing like with my legs straight. And I heard my knee pop, but I just sat 2 months out. So I'm like, I can't like take more time off. So I just like used a ton of ibuprofen to like make it not hurt. And then that just caused, frankly, it was a terrible year for athleticism for me. But I kept Olympic lifting through all of this just because, I don't know, it was just like a very stable constant for me. I wasn't necessarily progressing, but I just enjoyed it. And so then after that, my brother played at MSUM. He's the one that ended up playing pro. Uh, and I ended up living with him and going to MSUM. And I thought about trying to walk on there, but just life happened. And the only thing I consistently did was Olympic lift. And so I don't know. It's just something I kept doing. I don't know if that, yeah.
Was this one of these, you're at a small school, they didn't really have a strength and conditioning coach, and like maybe the basketball coach like downloaded some template off of T Magazine or something and just gave it to you guys, and or did you just make your own kind of lifts during this whole
I
time?
I primarily just did my own stuff. Um, I'm trying to remember. The football had a strength and conditioning program. The basketball really didn't. And if they did, I think the coach just knew with my Olympic lifting. He's like, he just let me do whatever I wanted. Um, but yeah, I just kind of kept doing it. It's kind of hard to explain. It was just something I just kept doing. So the start of that video, the 10-year transformation, that it starts off with like a 220 snatch or 225 snatch, and that would have been that might have been like the summer before I went to Trinity. And there are some like I put like the years between PRs because there were some like big gaps, like 2 or 3 years. um but even with those gaps, I was always just kind of like maintaining. I would do it maybe once or twice a week just because I liked it.
And with this Olympic lifting being like a constant in the journey, what does the evolution of your Olympic lifting programs look like from like the original days of like Olympic lifting with this coach and like hopping in that club versus like what it looks like now? Like what was that process of like the process of doing the Ollies is the same, but
Yeah.
what's your like training methods and like things you've learned along the way? Like I bet that has to be such a cool journey to look back on.
It's funny because it like do you know that meme where it's like you start
Yeah,
out as a novice, you don't know anything, then you become you like learn something and you feel like you know everything, and then I'm not saying I'm a master, but you get some mastery and you realize you don't know as much as you think. I kind of feel like I went that curve. So when I started, my Olympic weightlifting coach, he had no written out periodization. He just kept it all up here, and he watched. He just watched. He watched our fatigue level, and um, we started off training 2 times a week. There'd be a snatch. We would start off with snatch, squat, and then power clean and jerks. And then the other day would be start with clean and jerk, the like front squat or back squat would be alternated, and then it would be snatch or some sort of snatch accessory. Like very simple workouts took 40 minutes. That's how the first probably like 2 or 3 years of my training looked like for Olympic lifting. And I actually think that probably helped with the longevity because so many people just like go balls to the wall so quickly and they burn out. And the most I've ever trained Olympic lifting in a week, I think was maybe 4 days, which is a lot less than a lot of people do. And I've still progressed even well over a decade into the sport. Um, so I had a period where I coached CrossFit and was training CrossFit. And so during that period of time, my Olympic lifting was like CrossFit structured. So we followed are you familiar with like CrossFit programs? There's one it's called Invictus. It was very popular back 5 to 10 years ago. I'm not exactly sure, but we followed that. And I think the biggest thing for me is I like I followed that. I felt like I knew everything back then, and I felt like I had all the answers. And then after that season of my life, I just went back to training it 3 times a week and a lot of auto regulation. Like if it feels good, I go up. If it's not, I just don't. And I don't know, man. This might not be as technical as some of the people who come on your podcast, because I know you have like some really smart, intelligent people that train really well. But like for me, I'm just like the secret for my longevity has just been that auto regulation. When it's there, it's there, and when it's not, it's not. And when it's not, I'm at peace with calling it a day, and when it's there, I just send it.
Dude, I
And
feel
I
like
think
that's the you talk about we have smart people on the podcast, but like every smart person we've had, Tristan, like you can attest to that. It's like that's all they get to. You know what I mean? Like that's the main principles of like what they get to in their program is when it's there, and when it's not, it's not. And Angus Bradley said this in a YouTube, I think it was a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, but he's like, dude, the point of training is the PR. Like, why are you holding yourself back from the point of training? We talked about this before we even started recording, or it's like there's so many days where dude, I've done this in Oli lifts and it drives me fucking insane. Where it's like I'm feeling great one day, but I'm supposed to PR that Friday, or I'm supposed to PR next week. And you get to that PR day, and whether it's not the stress, but like the anticipation and like the buildup of that PR, and then you didn't sleep great the night before, or like life just happened, you had work, or they just not feeling the best, and you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and like I feel like it does, especially in the Olympic lifting journey. I was doing a much better job of this in the other stuff, but it's like the Olympic lifting journey I've started up within this past year. So like I'm trying to follow these programs, I'm trying to like think about these programs and do it in the right way. And I feel like the more I try to do it in the smart way and the right way, the more I miss out on the awesome opportunities of just like, dude,
Yeah,
you should have sent that day.
right. And I will say, approaching Olympic lifting, like you and I, like I don't compete. I haven't competed in over 10 years. So approaching Olympic lifting like we do, um, I think you want to have some form of structure, but you don't need as rigid of a structure if you're competing, right? Because competing is all about peaking for that meet. But for me, like every day could be, my meet day. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, I think that's a really good point you bring up is that you are competing or you're trying to bring up that PR and you're not going for an actual meet. But even people who have these meets, whether it be a running, cycling, basketball, like you see how many times people at the highest level get these polar like periodization, peaking time frames just horrendously wrong. And I think somebody who's working through that auto regulation and building up, hey, this is like what I've done to feel good, and this is what I've done to not feel so good, you can kind of almost bring up that N of one periodization quite well. And at the end of the day, that's what you're chasing. Like you're not chasing what that textbook said on a 12-week plan to like now on this specific Friday, I'm going to be the best. You're chasing, hey, what is going to be the best for me in my environment, in my lifestyle, for my current goals, which I think is a
Yeah.
pretty undervalued tool for a lot of people, specifically just looking to use the weight room to get stronger.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. How I think of my training now is like I have a lot of the same stuff in the program, in my training program, but depending on what I'm feeling is my emphasis. It is whether like what dictates intensity, volume. So like I just finished a sprinting cycle, and so my Olympic lifting days were all curbed back. My strength days were all curbed back because I wanted to have my best for the sprints, right? But now I'm focusing like winter's coming. The
Winter's
track is going to
coming.
be covered in snow, right? And so I'm not gonna be able to sprint. And frankly, I get bored. That's honestly a big reason why I train the way I do is I just get so bored of following extremely long programs, which is probably why I think theoretically I could be better than what I am, but in order to get better, I would also have to risk being burnt out. Like that's what happened with me in basketball is I was consumed by it. I would practice 4 5 hours a day if I could. um but then like after basketball ended, I didn't want to touch a basketball. I don't think I touched a basketball for 2 years after like my last season, just because I was so sick of it. I was so angry at it. And weightlifting for me has always kind of been like it's kind of been my like a side chick, like it's like you're fun. You're fun and I want to keep you fun. I
Well,
I am very loyal to my wife. I would never cheat on her. But that's what I imagine people with side chicks think.
that's the best analogy I think I've heard on this podcast. But one of the things you said is like, dude, you get bored with a long program. But you also said the reason you started your Instagram page is because you love training. And this is something that like coaches need to hear. This is somebody that loves training and loves doing this stuff and still gets bored on these programs. Imagine a fucking athlete that does not give a shit
Oh
about the
yeah.
weight room. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? Like I really, and like you mentioned, like I don't know about this pushing back on the point, but you said like I could be better. It's like I really don't know if that's true. Like I feel like so many people like they're like that's like the athlete like searching for that, but like you fight the psychology of behind like the human
Yeah.
brain and like what gives you
Right.
intent and what like keeps you in it. And dude, if you've been doing this for 15 years, like that's what makes you good at the thing. Like
Yeah.
you're downplaying it. Like you cleaned 385 the other day. Like you're snatching a shitload of
Yeah.
weight. It was like 265 from a deficit. Was that today that you just posted? Like those are sick numbers.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like so many coaches, it's like if you Jordan Peterson says this, he's like, if you're bored writing it, imagine the person reading it. It's like, dude,
Right.
coaches,
Right.
like if you're bored writing this program and bored coaching this program, imagine the athletes running through this.
Yeah. Kind of like an epiphany. So I'm a dad, I have 2 kids, and one of the like epiphanies I've had so my son is 3, and how with him, when I bring him into the weight like my garage and he's working out with me, it's not training, it's not fitness, it's fun, it's play. And for me, like I just realized that where it's like I think a couple of days ago I posted about like you want to improve your vertical, you have to have fun. It has to be interesting. Like because that creates this just natural intrinsic energy to put in the volume, to put in the work, to put in the time. Uh Nothing for me kills my drive like having something that's just mind numbing and boring. That's why I have so much variation with like block cleans, hang cleans, deficit, like because like for me, it's like I can always hit new PRs if I have new variations, right? But 265 deficit snatch, I haven't done deficit snatches in like 5 or 6 years. That was easily, I think I was snatching for my PR 265 last time I did it. So I just did that from like a 4 inch deficit. It's a PR, and that for me is like that's awesome, and it always carries over.
And one of the things too that I think is like really cool is, and this is something that I don't know, I talk to a lot of athletes with, and a lot of power lifters. The power lifters are really the ones that, and I think it's just because I'm new to the Ole world, so we don't have a ton of Ole athletes that are just like straight Oles, but we have a lot of power lifters, dude. The burnout rate of that sport is insane. Like it is wild. And it's like, dude, you have to have some sort of side quest. You have to have something else.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
if I had Olympic lifting as my only quest, dude, the amount of days I'd be on suicide watch where Tristan would have to like be on call to make sure I don't jump off this balcony would be atrocious, dude. But
Yeah.
it's a side quest because I got softball, I got all these other jumping things and sprinting things that I want to do. And having it as a side quest makes me better at it than if it was I 100% makes it me better at it. Maybe not totally physiologically with everything we're doing program wise, but it's like, dude, if I didn't have these other things in my life and I only obsessed over that one singular thing, I would be so much worse at it just because I would be pissed at it every single day.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Um, with that, with what Ashton just said, do you do other things too currently? Like you said, your kid, like when you bring your kids into the gym and it's like more play, you've liked basketball. Do you currently do other things that you think fill in those supplementary things that you might not find in the weight room, like the running, the sprinting, almost the rolling, the mobility?
Yeah. So like currently I haven't well, okay, so this might be before you guys have even knew I existed, but last spring I tried out for the USA bobsled team. And so that kind of created I've been sprinting less than a year. I started sprint training like last late winter. Um so that kind of shifted how I trained. Previous to that, uh let me clarify your question. So like are you asking like do I have sports that I play
Just
or just like
activities
things I
and
do?
stuff. Because you said sometimes like you do so many different variations of the
Yeah.
Olympic lifts. You like to have like those 40-minute workouts that are simplistic.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people make their programs and lifting really long because they're trying to hit every possible quality that you can imagine in the weight
Oh
room.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
do you
got
do like
yeah.
those other things outside the weight room that like almost fill those gaps that like check the box on those?
Right. Like you're saying like conditioning wise, like how am I like am I yeah. So I'm a big believer in like my life. I want my life to just be healthy. Like I'm not doing the weight room primarily to be healthy. I do the weight room because I feel like it's fun and it just makes me a more sane person. Um so like I get home every night and me and my son we wrestle like legit 20-30 minutes straight. And it's not cardio because like realistically at this age, but it's movement. It's very active movement in all sorts of different positions. Um I walk a ton with my wife, especially like all year round, even during the winter. Like I walk. I'll pull my son in like a inner tube behind me. During the winter, I cross country ski. Um, so I don't know. I do a lot of crap that I don't post about just because I've never posted about it, and it's just what I do. I garden, so like I believe that that is like a form of it's not like exercise, but it's just movement in general. Um, I don't know if that answers your question. It, I don't
Yeah,
know. I do play
absolutely.
some basketball. This last winter or this last summer, I started playing basketball again. I've considered getting back into like a church league because I do miss a little bit of the competitiveness. But yeah,
Yeah, I think that absolutely answers the question because sometimes people see something like they'll be like, "Oh, he only does Olympic lifts," and like that's I need to only focus on this to be successful in it. And it's like, well, he also cross country skis. He like does like some crawling and like playing around with his children. He goes on running. He did like a sprint block. He does all these other things that don't like subtract, but actually add to this Olympic lifting journey. And I feel like sometimes people miss that. They're like, to get good at something, I only need to do this when there's a ton of other activities and principles that can make you good at whatever activity you're chasing.
yeah, I think just like having a holistically positive, active life. I used to think like, oh, I can't do too much outside of the gym because that's going to take away my from my lifts. And I found the exact opposite. The more just generally active I am in my day to day, the better everything is better.
Dude, I had the same exact epiphany. I mean, it's the total bell curve of like when we started. Like I was I was biking. I had to bike to school because I didn't have a car. So we'd biking 6 miles to school. We'd lift with our SAP QR program with Tristan. Then we go to like football practice for like 3 hours, and then bike 6 miles home. Knew nothing about overtraining or anything like that. Started to study this stuff. Started to realize like, oh my God, I'm taking so much away from what I need to be like pushing it into and like doing and like focus up, like strict it down. And dude, all it did was strip my program and basically my relationship with movement and my movement quality in general to I had one really strong point, which was strength and like moving barbells. I felt like shit all the time. I moved like shit all the time. And it wasn't like that strength point accelerated so much faster once I cut all this stuff out. It just accelerated at the rate it would have accelerated at if I had just done all this other stuff. And I felt worse while I did it, and I felt less capable while I did it.
Yeah, and you're less happy,
And way
and
less
people
happy.
just
Yes.
and people do not understand. They've studied this stuff that the more happy, the more joy you experience from something, like the easier it is to learn and the easier it is to have like high outputs. And people just like they want their, gym to be all about like fighting the depression, and I get that, but at the same time, like for me now, I've just like my mindset is like the gym is about fun. It's play. So that means I might max out. Might means that today I'm just gonna like try to do calisthenic stuff that I have no business trying. It just I don't know. It opens my world. It's like less restrictive.
Well, I'll dive into that with you a little bit too, because that'd be interesting to hear you talk about is like the skill acquisition piece and the neuroscience behind play when it comes to learning like activities and how you're like implementing this stuff. And especially with young children, like we've had so many coaches on where their entryway into skill acquisition was having children because they watched them learn and like, oh my God, this is not what we talk about in strength conditioning at all. Like this is so different. And like watching them learn is like really gets them going. But like, have you had those epiphany moments with it? And like, how do you approach that skill acquisition? Because I think that's something like, even if it is just Ollie's, like, I think that could be applied to Ollie's with a lot of the variation stuff. Like, honestly, like, the more variation I do in the Ollie's, the more I do feel like I learn. Like, and I'm picking up on different things, which is like against the mentality of like, I mean, the baseball and Olympic lifting world are the two sports that I'm in where they're very like, you need to perfect this one movement pattern over and over and over and over again. And I have found that not to be true, specifically in baseball. Like the baseball one is totally BS just because you see so many athletes. I mean, there's so many variables in baseball. There's less variables with the Olympic lifting bar. There are things that need to go right, but it's like also like there's so many lifters that lift in different ways. But when you add that variation in your program, you start to get that little like bit of fun and like, but when it's like the fun, it's like for me, it's like I get the intent of like, oh, I feel something different here. I could apply this to the main thing that I got to do today. And then it starts to open up those avenues of like learning and thinking. When I'm not doing that, I'm like running myself into a wall, like doing the same thing over and again. I like start to lose that feel, like that intrinsic feel of
Right.
something different happening.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to clarify your question, but kind of like you're asking me what have I observed as maybe like with my kids or even like in my coaching experience or even in my counseling experience with like learning things.
Yeah.
Is that kind of
Yeah,
just in
I
general?
love talking about the skill acquisition and learning because I think that, dude,
Yeah.
if there's one thing as strength coaches or a coach in general, it's like you are a teacher of movement, right? And like we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
that. We think about like speed and strength. It's like you need to like be able to teach them how to learn, right? And once you
Yeah.
get that, your job is so easy. But like most coaches
Yep.
are not talking about that learning piece.
And in my opinion, the most obnoxious worst teachers are the ones that are unable to make something fun or interesting. Like personally for me, I just feel like creativity can just be so lost and so stripped. And I think creativity is like fun is an extension of being able to express creativity. So like with Olympic lift variations, like I'll go months just doing one variation that I'm good at that I know I'll have fun doing.
Mm.
Which, but granted, I'm not training for a comp, right? But also, most people are not. Most people are just training because they want to be stronger and healthier. And there's this idea where it's like, oh, you gotta. Don't get me wrong, working on your weakness is good, but I think we like just undervalue just like completely obsessing over the thing you're good at, and just like my high block clean is really strong. Like probably going to clean 400 pounds from my high block clean before I do it from the ground. And I'm completely fine with that because all I know is I still put 400 pounds on my shoulders and I stood up with it. And I do it because it's fun. It's probably more fun to me to clean from a high block than it is from the ground. And, um, like, I mean, with kids, if it's not fun, they're not going to do it. Like my son, um, trying to get him to clean like his toys up, uh, it has to be gamified. It just has to be. And I think that's in part how we're like just designed. Like that's a part of what it means to be human. Um, and I don't know. I think it's weird. Like just this how so much of training has become more about like avoiding death and being broken than like just experiencing joy and having fun. And you see a lot of that with like the movement guys where it's like, if your toes are pointed a certain degree out, you're gonna break your back, or you know what I'm saying. The Naughty Aguilars of the world, where it's just like it's all about like achieving this perfection that it's unachievable. It is, and you just have to accept it. So it's like, okay, well, if this perfection is unachievable, I'm just gonna like chase perfection in the thing that I'm really good at. I don't know if that brings me joy. I don't know. I don't know if that I'm answering any of your questions, but I'm trying to, I guess.
No, dude, that's perfect. Uh, am I frozen? Oh, there we go. I think John, I got frozen here.
You're good. I hear you. You're just smiling and not moving.
Okay, I had the same
There
thing
you
for you, except it was eyes shut squinting, so I was making sure you're alive here.
go.
But with the joy aspect when it comes to training and movements in America, like this is something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like we have a country that doesn't move enough, right? We
Yeah.
do not eat good food. We do not have a good relationship with movement in general, whether it's training, whether it's anything. And I think a lot of strength coaches and a lot of the fitness world, honestly, is a part of that. And like the people that should be the superheroes and inspiring people to move and have fun with training and do this are exactly the people that are like making the barriers to entry for fitness.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your like philosophies on how we can start to change that and the movement culture and the movement relationship in America, and maybe even why we got to the point in which we've gotten to. Like, why are we in this state? Like, it doesn't objectively, it doesn't seem like it makes any sense of like why we would be here when we know what makes movement fun for people and we know that we don't move enough. So like, why are we making up all this other
Right.
bullshit for like 90% of the population that it doesn't apply to?
Yeah. I think part of it is like it's like part of human psychology to take the path of least resistance. And the world we live in, uh, you can have as little resistance as you want. Even though, like, we now are learning that by continually choosing the path of least resistance, you know that you're gonna have a big resistance eventually. Like, if you always eat the food that tastes the best, has the worst macros, that's terrible for you, because it's convenient. Like, if you do that enough, you're gonna end up being obese and you're gonna have problems ahead of you. Um, but there's something in our psychology because we, you know, like even like 150 years ago on the plains of North Dakota, um, people like I have my grandfather-in-law was born in a cabin with a dirt floor, right? Um, uh, People were born into a world that was very difficult, so it's like we had to choose the easiest path of resistance for those really terrible moments, but we're so insulated from resistance. It's so easy to continually choose the easy thing that we don't realize. I kind of think in like metaphors, generally speaking, and it's like you see a mountain up in the horizon, and you see like a path that is flat and straight and it's easy, but then you also see a path off to your left that is like slowly inclining to the peak, and it's like, okay, well, I could do this really slow incline over a long period of time, or I could just continue walking on this easy path and just ignore the fact that eventually I'm going to have to climb straight up. And I just think that so many people are just so I think it's frankly, I think there's like a collective denial of just being human, of death and life. and what is the meaning and purpose of living, that I like it just people want to choose the easy thing. And I don't know, that kind of got existential, but I don't know if that makes sense. I think frankly, people need to confront their mortality, and I think that really helps them make those harder decisions and the steady incline. And it, I think there will be less regret, right? Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. How do we change this? I think I don't know. There was like this guy, I saw a video, he posted a video about like, if you can squat 405 but you can't do this movement, then you're really just screwing yourself up. And it's like, dude, you're just like clearly you're just trying to sell something. You're trying to create a problem and then try to sell a solution, when in reality most people's solution or problem is the fact that they just I don't they're just like they just live in like this in this delusion where it's like, they're on their screens, or they're just not present in their day-to-day life. And because it's easy, it's comfortable, it feels good. I don't know if that answers. I want to apologize. I don't feel like my answers are really good. I feel like they're kind of all over the place.
Dude,
But
the more it's a conversation, the better. Like
Yeah, they're
these
solid.
are all good. Yeah, don't worry about that at all.
And I think Austin's question too tied into something you already said earlier of like when you finished basketball, like you didn't want to touch a basketball for 2 years. Like I have friends like, world champions, like Olympic medalists for cycling, and they finish cycling and they're like, yeah, I don't want to touch a bike again. And when I told them, they're like, oh yeah, I still ride, like I still quite like it. They're like, what do you mean you still like it? And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's that you're putting so much emphasis, you're putting so much of your identity, like it was all of who you are, and now you
yeah,
don't want to like you find a hard time separating your identity from that. And I think especially in today's like society, in today's environment, you want to be able to like have those other things. Like you said, your Olympic journey was your side quest, and that's what allowed you to do it for so long. Austin's Olympic journey or his softball thing isn't like the only thing he has going on in his
yeah,
life. So it's enjoyable to keep going because it's something that you can progressively get good at. It's not the only thing,
yeah,
and when that disappears, you basically are just cut out at the
yeah,
knees and
You start
done.
clinging. When you start
yeah,
clinging, you
Yeah.
stop playing.
yeah. So in my counseling practice, there's two theories that I work from primarily. One of them is existential theory. And so this is like your meaning, like existence, your purpose, your meaning. And this is like higher arching, right? Um, and then it's choice or reality theory. And so how can you make daily small decisions that take you in direction of that higher purpose, higher meaning? And I just think so many people just have no higher purpose and higher meaning. So they select this small area of their life that and they put all that pressure to be perfect and to perform. And the gym is one of them. For me, the gym, if I have a bad day of lifting, I honestly, I'll be annoyed. You've seen me crash out, like, like the lift, I'm present in the moment. But like when I'm done, I'm done. And very rarely does that follow the rest of the day, because it's like my meaning is in my family. My meaning is in my relationship with God. My meaning is in these things that are like outside of me, and they're not inanimate objects. I don't, what I'm saying? Like in my work, my purpose is in my work. And I just think so many people lack that, and then they hope the gym will save them. And it's a helpful thing. It will definitely not hurt you, probably, but uh, yeah, it doesn't substitute having that higher meaning and purpose.
I was gonna say might be a little woo-woo, but we'll take it. Do you think with like the working from home, the like almost the rise of like the BS jobs where it's like, hey, you're working from home, you might be making a decently salary, but you're like the marketing manager of a company you don't give a shit about, you find no meaning in it, and it's just paying the bills. And so it's you have to put all of your meaning into one thing that
Mhm.
is ever so fickle, which is human performance, or you put all
Mhm.
that meaning into like your sports team on the weekend. And I think that's might be
Right.
why there's
Yeah.
like so little almost emotional regulation.
Oh
Have you
yeah.
seen that
Yeah.
with some of the people you're working with? Is that like they're
Yeah.
struggling to find meaning in their actual work?
Or one thing that like so what you brought up brought to mind. So another thing is people feel so tied to certain things that they know their meaning and their purpose, but they aren't willing to take the jump to chase it.
Mm.
So I have a client who he has a very, very solid job, making six figures, very stable, and but he loves working and he doesn't feel like he's working. It like grates on him. He's like, I'm not getting paid for what I do or for my value. I'm just getting paid to be a body.
Mm.
And to some people, like that's great. But for him, like he part of his like meaning and purpose is to work and to grind and to build. And so that was our conversation. Like, what does that mean? And it's actually really cool because as I mean, I'm not taking credit for his growth, but as he kind of like wrestled with this topic, he was more willing to take leaps to change that thing and to kind of bet on himself a little bit. And I think so many people, it goes back to comfort. We're like very risk averse. And so, like, even people who hate training, but they're unwilling to try a new form of training that might be really fun, you know? Or there are people who just hate being not a novice at things. So, like, hey, I'm really good at powerlifting, and Olympic lifting looks really cool, really fun, but I'm never going to try it because I don't want to look stupid cleaning 80 kilos or 100, 170 pounds. Um, but like, I don't know. I'm a big believer in risk taking, especially when it's for chasing those things that feel like they give higher meaning and value.
Dude, that's super cool because I read the 4 Hour Workweek, and like it was my first like big opening of like a business book and like diving into these principles and setting everything up. And like obviously there's some good things in there, but like what I realized is like the less I was working, the more money that was coming in, like the less kind of fulfilled I felt. I was like the same exact feel of like,
Yeah,
okay, like why did I get that, like, like, and it's like online payments, like it's such like a dystopian thing. It's so out there, it's like not a part of like you doing something, and it's such a like the more it's crazy for these a lot of these busy people that like have jobs and stuff like that. The more I can get them to be like, hey, just like work hard in the morning, do it. And the amount of people that have came back are like, oh my God, like this is like I'm addicted to this thing and like doing like more rather than less. And I feel like a lot of times in our society, it's like it's pushed to less, where I feel like it's just pushed to more of things that actually mean something to you, more of things that are like whether with your body or something in front of you, less
yeah,
out there, less dystopian.
yeah. I think I've already came to terms. I'm 30 years old. I'm not going to be peaking forever. There will be some day when my body starts getting weaker and I'm not hitting PRs. I've already came to terms with that, at least mentally. I'm sure there'll be an emotional process too when I'm like, holy crap, dude, you have not done anything impressive in the last year. I've already came to terms with that. And I've already been thinking of like, okay, well, what does that mean for me? Like pursuit wise, like, how do I find this value even when it's like, yeah, you can't clean 160 kilos anymore. And I think a lot of people just kind of like forget this. I'm not like anti steroids, to be honest with you. I'm kind of more neutral where it's like, as long as you're not cheating in your sport and as long as you're not like being like a complete disingenuous liar, I really don't have an issue with it. Um, but like I think a lot of like even the steroids or like young guys going on TRT is just this denial of this, right? They're running from their own mortality. They want to be young forever, and that's just not how the world works. And so like instead of processing these feelings like, oh, I'm not gonna make progress in the gym anymore, like what does that mean for me? How do I change? Like we have these transitionary periods of our life that we have to address and we have to go through. Otherwise, it's like I think we've all seen like those middle-aged guys wearing like skinny jeans and like oh brother, your hair is gray and just like, you know, um I feel like some of it is that like just this denial of like this is the cycle of life. And instead of like for me, I feel like a big thing is just like passing on knowledge, whether it be through my Instagram or I really love coaching in person. Frankly, I've tried to do some online coaching and it's just not the same. I like being able to yell, not at the person, but like towards the person in a positive. I like being able to like after they hit a lift, like grabbing them and screaming in their face, like vicariously living through their PR. You don't really get that through online coaching or anything, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with this.
Do you think with that, you mentioned like there's going to be a day where you're physically going to be going down, but you've already brought up the point of like, hey, I can do different variations, and now that's a PR for me. And I think that's a skill that people generally lack. And almost like that getting addicted to being a novice and learning something that I feel like up into your 80s or 90s, like you
Yeah.
can really develop some skills. Like there was a
Oh
guy
yeah.
just in my fiance's grandpa's nursing home, and he like started drawing and painting at like 86, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I never really did that. And you like saw his paintings for the last 4 years. It's like, holy shit, like this guy like
Yeah.
literally is learning a skill, when most people
Yeah.
have already like given up on everything, and not taking that path of least resistance. Like he's actively trying at, 86 years
Yeah.
old, getting better. And like, he's like, yeah, I've been trying to sell my paintings. And I thought that was one of
That's
like the
cool.
coolest things I've seen of like, holy shit, this guy's getting after it right now at
Yeah.
86
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah. And this might sound weird, but I really do enjoy being a novice. I will say I'm not necessarily the most coachable person. Like just being self-aware. I don't love like unless I've like intentionally been like, "Hey man, coach me." But being a novice and like the learning process it's so fun. It's so enjoyable. I think a lot of people just kind of like miss out on this free joy of just like trying new things, trying new ways of training, methodologies, variations. Um, you know, I've kind of like my thought is like, okay, when I can't get stronger anymore, maybe I'll chase bigger biceps. Like I'll intentionally leave my biceps small right now so that even in my 40s or 50s, I can still get some gains in my biceps. Like that's like a literal thought process I have.
That's awesome,
Dude,
dude.
newbie
Oh,
gains are everywhere. You can chase
yeah, they
newbie
are.
gains in anything. Like, it's amazing.
Well, and that's
True.
that, dude. That's something that I want to ask you about when you're working with your mental health clients or your coaching clients. Like the process of becoming addicted to that like novice like ability, the process of becoming addicted to learning something. Because I remember high school, college, I was exact opposite of that, dude. Like it was so I need to perform, I need to do the same thing. And a lot of it was the culture and the situations that I was in with like coaches like screaming at you, saying you're going to lose your job, like that type of stuff. So it was like a lot of it was like the culture, but like I got out of that. And I got really addicted to just learning new skills. Like I think the very first thing I tried to do was a what's a handspring, and I was like started doing this handspring. I
Oh
think it
yeah.
was during like COVID, and I was like, oh my god, dude, like eating shit on this is the most fun I've had in training. I would do it
Yeah,
for like
yeah.
hours on end, like learning how to do it. Then it was like dunking a basketball, then it was doing a backflip, like now it's always, but
Yeah.
like that process, dude, it makes training so fucking fun, and I'm way more physically developed and fit and like well-rounded than I was in
Yeah.
college when it was like that, like da 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 da. But like, what's your process to like get people to take that first step of like introducing some of these like new fun things or
Yeah.
some of these silly things or looking goofy so that they can get that process of becoming a novice again?
So there's like two things that I think of. One, I don't think of these new novice skills as my meat and potatoes. They're like my dessert or my salad.
Hmm.
These are things that can be added or removed or mixed around. These are not, they never like I started practicing backflips again just recently. I just was like, oh, I should start doing it again. I had like broken my or like fractured my foot like 8 years ago trying to do them. So I like just stopped. I was like, this is not worth it. But I started doing it again. And it was something I was doing after my sprints, after my broad jumps. And I was like, I don't need a ton of volume on this. So there's that. I also think people don't understand, like, oftentimes people don't understand why they get obsessed or like the reason why people get addicted is not because alcohol is delicious, or because um like these drugs are great. The reason why people get addicted is because they're trying to run from something. they're trying to solve a big problem in their life, and they found that this thing is very effective, right? If you have a lot of pain in your life, alcohol is a very effective way to not feel pain. Um, that's why people get addicted, generally speaking. Okay. And so if you're trying to get addicted to training, you kind of have to realize like what is the thing you're running from or chasing. You have to kind of like define these things. Like I think for some people, like for me, about a year and a half ago, I recognized that no, it was about a year ago. I had like bulked up to like 250 and the heaviest I've ever been. And I was feeling bloated and I tried to dunk and I was like rim grazing. It was very bad. And I was embarrassed. I was just embarrassed because back in my prime, I could like really throw it down really well. And so I was just like, this is not acceptable. I'm 29 at this point. This is not acceptable. And I realized like, and then I started looking at the data of like when you're 30, you're most likely to blow out your Achilles and like have all these things. And I was just like, man, do I want that? You know? And so starting sprint training, specific jump training, and uh on these different things, that was like a response, and actually getting addicted to it and learning to enjoy it was a response to me realizing that I don't want to blow up my Achilles in my 30s. I don't want to be that guy who is like, oh yeah, you know, when I was in my prime, I could do this and that. It's like, no, I want to be able to do this as long as possible. Um, if I can like, I'm going to do everything in my power to like preserve these things as long as possible because these are valuable to me. Um, and so I think I think people have to recognize like the path they're on. You know, a lot of guys after they get done with sports, they just frankly they just lose it. Sometimes it amazes me. I will like interact with these guys who are good athletes around and they're the same age as me and they look like they're 6 years older than me because they've gotten out of shape. They don't do anything. And this is not a knock on them, but it's like if they would have I think if they would have seen what they would become, they would actually have taken the steps sooner. And then the longer you go without taking steps, the harder it is to do it.
Steeper that
And
mountain,
so
dude.
I so for me, the reason why I do what I do is because I'm running from being old and fat.
Dude, what better motivator than that right
Dude,
there?
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
had that
It's
the other day. I
yeah.
went I did a run with our firefighters cadets and I hadn't run in probably like 6 years. I like only biked and lifted. And the next day my calves and Achilles, like I think I complained for about 5 days straight about like
How long was the run?
we did 400s on concrete with like 90-degree turns, dude. It was
Ooh,
brutal. And like obviously I was their coach, so like I'm not going to ease up. So like I'm going hard. Haven't run, zero
yeah,
warm up. My calves and Achilles felt like they were gonna explode. And my thought process was I have two options. I can either avoid running the rest of my life, or I can immediately buy a pair of running shoes right now and start running 3 times a week because this
yeah,
is unacceptable. Like I
yeah,
literally was like, holy shit, I'm so cardiovascularly fit. I feel strong. Like I'm generally thought of
right.
as a fit person. And I just did a mile of hard running and I feel crippled.
Yeah. That's literally what happened with me with dunking. I worked at a middle school before entering into the counseling field. And previous years, I would like dunk for my students. And I had a few students who had seen me really throw down. And I'd bulked like 20 pounds up and just done no jump training. And it was so embarrassing. And they were all kind of like looking at me like, you know, we saw you tomahawk last year type of thing. And I was like, ooh, I actually have a video from last January where I said, I think I said something along the lines where it's like, I'm really unathletic and kind of chubby right now, and I don't want to be this way anymore. And you know what's funny is I've lost weight and I've gotten way stronger. You know, it's like I'm a believer in bulking, but also there's like you have to have reason involved with it. The never ending bulk is not the way. That's what I learned.
It's not the way. Dude, I'm kind of scared
Small
of
bulks.
the I put on it last year at this time I was like 212 and I was stepped on a scale for 239 the other day and I kind of like the weight I'm at, but I'm like
Hey,
I saw 239, I was like, dude, I want to get this to 250, but dude, my ego is gonna hurt already on my sprints and jumps. I feel it. I was like,
oh
bro,
dude,
I am way stronger and way more powerful than I was at that weight, but just moving this extra weight hurts my heart every single time I jump and sprint right now. This should be way
Yeah.
further.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. In someday, maybe that's like down the road where it's like, I'm not going to PR my clean anymore. I've maxed it out, but maybe I can deadlift 700 pounds, but I need to, put on 20 pounds or something like that. I'll keep that in my cards.
Hell yeah. Keep the biceps small. That's awesome. All right. Last question of
Yeah.
the podcast. And then you can go as philosophical as you want here. But you mentioned before we started that you work with a lot of troubled youth, right? And we're talking
Yeah.
about a lot of these epiphany moments, kind of like getting us to the point in which we're like, we realize we have to change. And especially with the troubled youth, like our epiphany moments we're talking about right now are pretty small. They're like not being able to dunk. It's like being sore after sprinting and doing that type of stuff. Whereas a lot of people, like they get in situations where their epiphany moment is like a life-changing moment, something that they really should not have done, something that really got them in trouble. What is a way in which like we can set up society or movement practice or combining some of the stuff we do in the gym or our communities in which we can get people to understand this stuff before it gets to that? Or can we not? Does it just have to be that person has to reach their epiphany moment in life?
Oh, that's a hard question. I generally like to think I have all the answers for society at large. And generally speaking, I could probably fix just about anything. Not to brag, but I probably could. Uh, but man, my supervisor, the guy I work for, he has a saying where it's like people don't change until they hurt bad enough. And unfortunately, I would say that is kind of how it works for most people. The problem is that's just like a really, really sad place to be. Like working with people who are hurting so bad that they have to change. It's very sad. I think the other way that, frankly, the reason why I post is I've had people just message me and it like blows my mind sometimes. The people that message me being like, "Hey, you just like inspired me to go to the gym today." And like for me, it's like maybe I am playing a little bit of a role in people making those positive decisions to change without them having to hurt bad enough. And so um I don't know, I think there will always be people who love the BS of the fitness industry. There will always be people who love that. Um but I just think the more I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Like, I don't want to say that I have like completely perfectly pure intentions. I don't think really anybody has perfectly pure intentions, but I just think that maybe the more those people with better intentions, where it's like truly not just self-seeking about making that bag, but more about like I don't know, like chasing that higher value, that higher meaning. Um, I think that will probably help. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm giving a good answer, but yeah, I for me, it's just like that's kind of been the thing for me with posting is just like I want to get people pumped up and excited to go to the gym. I want the gym to look cool and not just like a way to solve your breakup. Like it's something that you do because it's like it's awesome. It's awesome. Lifting a heavy circle is incredible. Picking up a heavy rock. Honestly, I could definitely see myself going through a deep rock picking up phase because I always love picking up rocks. Something about it. But I just want people to like see how incredible it is. And it is. It makes you feel incredible. It makes you believe that, wow, like I am not fragile. I can take the hard way through life. If I can do a 5x5 at like 83% of my one rep max back squat, I can handle a lot of crap, you know? So and then maybe if we just start putting testosterone in the water, that could also be another way to really make people love the gym.
Change the frogs, baby.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, do you think it for like just the people you see too, and I feel like I see this when group environments or like just when you see like a whole group is people feel like it's uncool to try and like
Oh yeah.
showing them like I think that's one of the biggest things of like, hey, it's if you can build that environment and whatever it is, like a gym,
Yeah.
your school thing that it's like, hey, it's like okay to try and like you're gonna fail in that, but like try hard and like be
Yeah.
competitive in whatever it is that a lot of people will do that, but they're just like, oh, I don't want to be that try hard guy. I don't want to be
Yeah.
the guy who comes and seemingly knows it all. And is that something that
Yeah.
you try to like instill or
Yeah.
teach?
For me, I just try to be like, I'm not lifting for somebody else. I'm lifting because I enjoy it. Like I'm not like I've had people criticize me on, because now I have a small platform. I've had people criticize me. It's like, dude, I'm not lifting for you. I just don't care. I literally don't care what you say. I'm lifting for me. This is fun. This is giving me life. I don't know what you do, but like I'm not lifting for you. Um, and there in like the guy internet sphere, there's like this romanticization, blah, blah, sorry, but of stoicism and like not showing emotion. And here's the thing, if you're like naturally, there's some dudes that are just naturally more like level. Like I trained with Will, and Will is pretty like he's pretty just like steady Eddie.
Bro,
But he's
Will and
not
Jake are the
trying.
two most just it's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
flatline, it's crazy.
Will is not trying to be stoic. I think he's just kind of run stoic, right? Me on the other hand, I used to hate myself for not being stoic enough. Like I'd be the guy that would like we'd lose a basketball game and I'd like be angry crying and I'd be embarrassed that I'd be angry crying. And now I'm 30 years old and it's like I don't know. I'm not here to answer to other people about how I process my like do my process. If that makes sense. Like if somebody with good faith is curious, I will tell them. But at the end of the day, it's uh like I believe that like God gave us these emotions and you express them in a way that comes naturally to you. And that doesn't give you like an entitlement to be a complete butthole, but at the same time, like don't hold those in, like just let them out. Like if you're pissed off for missing a lift, it's okay to be pissed off. And if you're pumped about like cleaning 385 pounds in your garage and nobody saw it, and except for you, like, dude, I'm freaking screaming. So, but some people don't need to scream. For me, it's like if I didn't scream after that PR, I think there would be like something wrong with me. That would be a sign that John needs some help.
That's how we know. That's
So,
how we know to call you.
yeah, if I hit a PR and there's not emotion, that means that there's something else going on in my life.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, when you come here, the plan is to have you come here. You're coming here for Christmas, but to come to the gym in a month, and hopefully
Yeah.
we can scream a little bit at the gym and
Oh
rip
yeah,
some PRs
dude,
together.
totally.
But
I made my own smelling salts. They're probably not as good as
yes,
like
dude. Please bring them.
I'll have to make a fresh batch. They'll probably be a little. They're probably not as strong as yours. Because I'm sure like something made in like a lab is going to be more
Dude, I bought
powerful
mine
than
off
mine.
Amazon, and there's nothing. It's nothing. The only ones I bought Juju Mufus. I don't know if you've tried those. Those fucked me
No.
up. Those I was like, holy crap. That was my first time doing smelly salts. I was like, this is crazy. Then I bought one off Amazon, just expecting the same thing, and it doesn't do anything.
Oh, mine. It like it will. It's made me cry a little bit. And so I don't know.
The
I
Juju
don't
ones
know.
have made 3 people I've known throw up on spot.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
I kind of would like to try it, to be honest
That
with you.
does
But
not
that is
seem performance enhancing.
Oh, dude, it's like Tristan. The first time I took it, the back of my head started hurting because of it. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
dude, I can't go lift right now. I have a head
put-
like something is wrong with my head.
They put straight up cat piss in that.
No, dude,
And then
it's
they-
gas station boner pills.
Yeah.
That's what they
I also
put in
got
there.
a boner when it happened. It was weird, dude.
Crazy,
Super
dude.
craid. But
That
dude,
makes
I
it very
appreciate
hard
you
to do
taking
cleans or snatches.
yeah, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and coming to rip with
Yeah.
us, and excited to lift together.
Yeah, thanks for chatting, dudes. It was nice meeting you. I'm excited to lift. Throw down.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you guys listen. Keep chopping wood.
Right.
Boom, boom. There we go, dude. That was
Boom.
sick.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you for listening. Join us next week as we dive down another rabbit hole. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating. Follow us on Instagram at Austin Jochum to stay updated on future podcast guests. Keep chopping wood.